Stress and anxiety for all of you who are appearing in the mains examination is going to be a part of the process. It may still happen to many of you that you may not be able to sleep properly a night before the examination. Therefore, eat very light a night before the examination. Keep yourself well hydrated. Eat a simple breakfast, not something which is very heavy, something which is not going to make you fall asleep. You belong there in the mains examination. You earned your seat in the mains examination by working really hard, and you qualified the prelims examination. Mains examination is not about perfection. No one's attempt in mains is perfect. It's all about steady focus over the 9 papers. Hi. When I wrote my first mains examination many years ago, I was not able to sleep properly. I had a lot of anxiety. I had questions in my mind that whatever I have studied, whether that would be relevant for the examination, whether I'll be able to remember things in the examination hall, whether I'll be able to give my best in the examination or not. Now, when I look back at this entire sequence of events through the lens of my own experience as well as the experience of several students of mine, those who have been successful and unsuccessful in the examination, I realized that it was a very normal thing to happen. Stress and anxiety for all of you who are appearing in the mains examination is going to be a part of the process. And therefore, today I want to share with you a few tips, a few ideas that I wish I had access to when I was appearing in the examination. Something that I've learned through my own attempt at the examination, as well as learning from my own students, those who have done well in the examination. So let's start. The first idea which I want to talk about is, today, when many of you are at the cusp of giving the mains examination, you would feel anxiety related to the examination. And the question that always arises in our mind is that, is this nervousness, is this anxiety something which is normal, or is it a cause of worry for us? Several psychologists have done a lot of research on this particular matter. There is a study from the early 20th century which was done by a pair named as Yerkes and Dodson. Yerkes and Dodson came out with Yerkes and Dodson law, where they said that if you're not nervous or anxious before a big moment, before an examination, before a big match, before a big event, then your performance is going to be very weak. If you're too anxious about performance in the examination, if you're too anxious about performance in a cricket match, a football match, before making a speech, then also it is not going to lead to optimal performance. There's going to be strong stress, anxiety, and that would impair your performance. We have to maintain a good balance of being calm, yet at the same time, being a bit anxious and having a bit of nervous energy. Therefore, what I want to tell all of you, that before examination, you would have a lot of doubts in your minds. Before going into the examination hall, you would have these self-doubts over your preparation. You would have a certain amount of nervous energy as well, which is very normal and natural to have at this stage. In fact, you should embrace that energy. You should embrace that anxiety and believe that it is actually going to help you do well in the examination. I would want to quote an example from Sachin Tendulkar. All of us know about legendary Sachin Tendulkar. Perhaps one of the greatest cricketers the world has seen, one of the greatest sportsperson India has ever produced. Sachin Tendulkar very recently, after his retirement, stated that all throughout his long career of 24 years in cricket, he would always feel a certain amount of anxiety and stress a night before the match. Initially, he used to fight this anxiety and stress. He used to try and combat it. He used to be worried that why am I feeling anxious and stressful? But years later, he realized that the only way to overcome this anxiety and stress was to channel it in a very positive manner. He would try and calm himself down a day before the match by listening to music, by speaking to friends, by watching movies, by possibly visualizing what he'll be doing in the cricket match. That's the same input which I would like to give to all of you, those who are appearing in the mains examination this year. Do not try to fight stress or anxiety. Do not try to fight your nervous energy. Accept it, embrace it, and channelize it in a positive manner. Can you go and do something a day before the examination that calms you down? Listen to some music, watch a movie, go out with friends. You may think that 24 hours before the examination and I'm doing all of these things. It is perfectly okay. Believe me, nothing that you will read in last 24 hours, nothing that you will come across in last 24 hours is going to make any drastic change to your preparation. We have done a lot of hard work over not just one day, 1 week, 1 month, or not 1 year. You've worked for a really long period of time for appearing in this examination. You deserve to be in the mains examination. And therefore, just a few hours of studying here and there is not going to make any change. For all of you who are feeling anxious, for all of you who are giving exam the next day, I would suggest take a break. Give your mind a bit of rest. Rest well. Ensure that you have an exercise of probably doing some light reading. Maybe take a casual walk with your friends. Listen to some music. Listen to some classical music. Or watch a movie. And just relax and unwind. Now, we've talked about what we need to do as far as a few days before the examination is concerned. What do we do a day before the examination? My mantra to you would be to follow the principle of readiness, rest, and calmness. First, be ready for the examination. How do you make yourself ready for the next day? Prepare your logistics. Keep your admit card. Ensure that your pens are in place. Ensure that your watch is in place. Your water bottle is in place a day before the examination. See the Google Map route to how you have to reach the exam location. Have all of those things figured out so that you don't need to worry about how you will arrive at the exam center on the day of the examination. Second, rest. It's very important for you to sleep properly before you go into the exam. You may feel a bit of anxiety a night before. You may not be able to sleep properly a night before the examination. My suggestion to you would be that probably you could try and do some light physical exercises so that you are tired by the end of the day and immediately as you hit the bed, you go to sleep. It may still happen to many of you that you may not be able to sleep properly a night before the examination. Therefore, eat very light a night before the examination. Keep yourself well hydrated a day before the examination. Rest your body. Even if you cannot sleep, just lie down. Read something very light. Breathe very slowly. Rest as much as you can, even if you cannot sleep properly. And lastly, and most importantly, calm yourself down. Spend some time away from the books. Read something that you have been wanting to read for a very long time. Listen to some music that you have been wanting to listen for a very long time. The maximum that you can do a day before the examination is probably just brush through some of your notes, but not for a very long time. Remember, the more clear you are in your mind a day before the examination, the better your performance would be the day of the examination. Now, the D-Day has arrived. The final day has arrived for us to appear in the examination. What are the things that we need to keep in our mind? What is our checklist going to be? Eat a simple breakfast, not something which is very heavy, something which is not going to make you fall asleep. Keep your routine very normal. Stick to familiar habits. No experiments on this particular day. This is the day when you're supposed to channelize and focus your entire energy on the exam. Try to reach early at the examination hall. Often we are stressed about reaching the destination on time because of traffic in big cities. So therefore, start well before time. If the exam starts at 9 o'clock, you should intend to reach the examination center by at least 8:30. So that even if you're late by a few minutes due to any unforeseen circumstance, you still have time at your hand before you enter into the examination hall. Put away all the notes outside the gate. There is no need for frantic revision. Believe me, each one of you has worked hard well enough in order to do well in the examination. And no last minute revision is going to add any new marks. I've seen this year after year with all the candidates, those who have appeared in the examination, and with my own personal experience. Whatever that I read in the last few minutes before going into the examination hall barely ever helped me in the examination. Please do not fall into that trap. And if you feel anxiety, if you feel stress, follow the 4-7-8 technique. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then on the 8th second, release your breath. This will slow down your breathing. This will slow down your heart rate, and it would make you feel better. Take a few deep breaths. Follow the 4-7-8 techniques a few times, and you will feel a lot of difference in how you feel, how your nervous energy would suddenly go away and turn into something which is very positive. Also remember that you belong there in the mains examination. You earned your seat in the mains examination by working really hard, and you qualified the prelims examination. And do remember, everyone else around you is also feeling the same nervousness and anxiety. Now, talking about what we do inside the exam hall. Look at every question. Look at every paper one by one. Take it one question at a time. Do not run ahead of time. Do not think what will happen if I qualify the examination. What will happen if I do not qualify the examination? What will my parents think? What will my friends think? Do not think about all of that. Do not think about whether I have prepared enough for the examination or not. Try to keep those thoughts away from yourself. Tell yourself that right now, my entire energy has to be focused on doing one question at a time to the best of my ability. So, how do we prepare ourselves while we are sitting there in the examination hall? First and foremost, when you get the question paper, spend a few minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes on scanning the question paper and understanding what kind of questions have been asked. At this stage, do not think of the answers, but just absorb what kind of questions have been asked in the exam. Do not do this exercise in a hurry. Do not be in a hurry in the first 5 minutes. You may think that you're running out of time. Believe me, you will not. Those 3 to 5 minutes can help you to plan your attempt in that paper very well. Therefore, what I would suggest is, when you get the question paper, mark the questions as easy, as moderate, as difficult in the question paper. You can have some symbols for the same. Maybe a single tick for an easy question, a double tick for a moderate question, and a triple tick or a star for a difficult question. What you can do is that for those questions where you know the concept, you know the examples, those are easy questions. For those questions where you know the concept, but you would have to still think of examples, you'll have to still think of points to write in that question, mark it as a moderate question. And for those questions where you do not think that you know the concept properly, mark it as a difficult question. Once this particular exercise is done, we start with the easy questions first. The ones which are easy for us. They can be 15 markers or they can be 10 markers. Also, please be aware, it's possible that UPSC may change the marking pattern as well. They may not give 10 questions of 10 marks and 15 questions of 10 marks, or 10 questions of 15 marks. They may change the entire pattern of the exam as well. So therefore, plan accordingly. And therefore, these first 5 minutes are very important. Once you've done that, start with the easy questions. That will help you build momentum. That will help you build some kind of confidence as you go into the examination. Another very important thing is manage your pace well. After every 45 minutes, after every 30 minutes, take a break for 5 seconds. Take a sip of water. Possibly stretch your fingers. Just take a deep breath. Because after 30 to 40 minutes, human brain starts losing its focus and starts losing its energy. It's important to rewind. It's important to get back into the mode. And therefore, those 5-10 seconds will really help you in attempting the paper well. Now, once we are done with that, let's talk about a few other ideas as well. GS2 strategy. What should be our strategy for GS2? I would take you through a question paper of 2022 and tell you how I would have attempted that paper had I been appearing in the examination. What would have my strategy been for that particular question paper? Not just that, but also at the same time, remember that questions have to be read really well in GS2. It is expected that you understand the essence of the question. Don't be in a rush to answer the questions. So let me show you, with the help of a previous year question, how you could attempt the paper. So this is a question paper from 2022. I've got this paper. I'll first read the instructions before getting into the questions. So I read that, okay, there are 20 questions. All the questions are compulsory. Read these instructions, because at times UPSC can change things. And by the time you realize that the pattern has changed, you would have already lost in one paper. So therefore, read the instructions. Question number 1 to 10 should be in maximum of 150 words. Question number 11 to 20 should be in a maximum of 250 words. You may say that, sir, we already know about all of this. I know. But what if UPSC changes the pattern? So please read this very carefully. Keep the word limit indicated in questions in mind, and any page or portion of the page on your answer copy that is left blank must be clearly struck off. You must clearly strike it off. Now, I'll come to the questions. So I will look at the question paper. I'll start from question number 1. I'll read, okay, the most significant achievement of modern law in India is constitutionalization of environmental problems by the Supreme Court. Discuss this statement with the help of relevant case laws. So the question, I will think that the question is asking how one of the biggest achievements of Indian Constitution has been inclusion of environmental issues and problems in India's constitution's functioning. And I have to discuss this with the help of relevant case laws and judgments of the Supreme Court of India. I would think that I know a bit about how environmental issues have become a part of the judgments of the Supreme Court and India's constitution's working. But at the same time, there have been some important cases, but I don't know all of them. So I will possibly mark this question in a moderate category. And maybe for a moderate question, my sign would be a plus, or it could be a double tick. So I will say that, okay, I will come to this question in the second reading. I look at the second question. It says, right of movement and residence throughout the territory of India are freely available to citizens, but these rights are not absolute comment. This seems like a very easy question. I know about Article 19(1)(d) and Article 19(1)(e) of the Indian Constitution that guarantee these rights to the citizens of India. But I also know that these rights are not absolute in nature. So I need to talk about some of the restrictions and examples of restrictions that can be imposed on this right. I know that I will be able to attempt this question. Let's go for this first. So I will mark this as an easy question, maybe 1 tick mark or a star or whatever code that you have for yourself. Then I will look at the next question. To what extent, in your opinion, has the decentralization of power in India changed the governance landscape at the grassroots? So I know that 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act have decentralized the powers of governance in India, but has it changed the governance landscape at the grassroots? It has impacted the lives of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. It has impacted the life of women. It has helped in promoting democratic participation. It has helped in addressing some of the specific issues of local communities. I know about this, and I also know some of the challenges. So this seems like an easy question. I will mark it. Then I will look at discuss the role of Vice President of India as the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Definitely, I know about the role of Rajya Sabha chairman, Vice President of India. I will be able to answer this. I'll mark it. Discuss the role of National Commission for Backward Classes in the wake of its transformation from statutory body to a constitutional body. We all know that NCBC has been transformed from a statutory to a constitutional body. And I have read about this in the current affairs. I will be confidently able to write the question. Gati Shakti Yojana needs meticulous coordination between government and private sector to achieve the goal of connectivity. Discuss. I know something about Gati Shakti Yojana, but I'm not very sure that whether I know that how it promotes coordination between government and private sector. Let me mark this as a moderate question. I will come back to this question later. I will go to question number 7. Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 remains only a legal document without intense sensitization of government functionaries and citizens regarding disability. Until unless we bring in sensitization of citizens and government towards disability issues and disability rights or rights of disabled people, this act is not going to do anything. I know about some of the provisions of Disability Act, but I'm not very sure of whether I can write everything. So let me mark it as a moderate question. India is an old age friend of Sri Lanka. Discuss India's roles in recent crisis in Sri Lanka in light of preceding statement. I've read about India-Sri Lanka relations. I will be able to write answers to this particular question, and so on and so forth. That's how you need to approach when you're reading this question paper for the first time. But when I will get into the depth of every question, the approach that I will take would be as follows. Let me give you an example. Let's say, discuss the essential conditions for the exercise of legislative powers by the governor. Discuss the legality of re-promulgation of ordinances by the governor without placing them before legislature. So this is a 15 marker. And now in this question, I will try to think what my response should be. It's saying that in the question paper itself, what I will do is I will mark some of the things. It is asking me firstly to write about essential conditions for exercise of ordinance making powers by the governor. So one, I have to write this. I have to write about ordinance making powers of the governor and what are the conditions that are supposed to be followed while exercising ordinance making powers by the governor. Second, I have to discuss whether re-promulgation of ordinances by governor without placing these ordinances in front of the legislature is legal or not. So now I will write in my rough space that in this question, I have to mention specifically about 2 things or 2 themes or 2 ideas. Those 2 ideas will be as follows. Firstly, I have to mention about essential conditions for ordinance making power of governor. Second, whether re-promulgation is constitutional or not. Now I will start thinking of the structure to my answer. I will first, possibly in my introduction, I know about Article 213 of the Constitution, and I will talk about how this provides ordinance making powers to the governor and what is the objective behind these ordinance making powers. I will in brief, I will explain this, that the objective of these ordinance making powers is to ensure that the governor can meet certain situations or exigencies. Second, once I have done that, I would then talk about, I will give a heading, essential conditions for the exercise of ordinance making powers. So I will write 4-5 points. I will write that until unless it has received the assent of the president, if it would have required the assent of the president had it been a legislative law, legislature's law, I would need to send it to the president. If the initial recommendation of the president would have been required for it to be introduced through legislative route, I need to take the recommendation of the president before passing the ordinance. Such an ordinance can only be passed when both the houses of the state are not in session, or one of the house, if it's just a single house legislature, it is not in session. There should be certain immediate circumstances that should require me to pass an ordinance. Another essential condition is that I should only pass an ordinance on a subject which is under state control, state list or concurrent list. I should pass an ordinance which is not against the provisions of the constitution, fundamental rights, etc. So I will write some of those things. Then the third is, I will give the heading, repromulgation of ordinance. So I will explain what is repromulgation. And I will explain that this particular exercise has become very prevalent these days. So all of this, either I have to do it in rough work as the approach for my answer, or I have to do it in my mind. If you have done this enough number of times, you would already be doing it in your mind by now. So I would write down in repromulgation of ordinance, for example, that what has been the misuse of this power. Then I will explain the judgment of the court in DC Vadhva case on this particular matter. And then I will say, what are the kind of threats which are created as a result of misuse of this power? And finally, in my conclusion, I could possibly give some suggestion. I don't need to write the heading of suggestion or way forward. I could just give a suggestion in the way forward that this power should be exercised in a very cautious manner by the governor. Repromulgation of ordinances should not be done until unless it is an exceptional situation. And then I will round off my answer. This is how I will approach the answer writing in GS paper 2. I hope you get clarity on how we attempt the paper. Of course, we have discussed about these details earlier as well, but the idea now was just to give you some brief aspect of how we can go ahead and attempt the paper. Now, let's come back to a few other ideas as well before we wrap up. Remember, mains examination is not a sprint. It's a marathon. You have to sustain your momentum over 5 days, in fact, over a week when you're writing 9 papers. Therefore, a few important things to keep in mind. Please eat very clean and stay light, because if you eat something which is heavy, it will take away your energy. Ensure that you do not analyze the papers once they are done. Do not analyze your performance while you're writing the papers as well. Ensure that you just think about the paper that you have attempted. Maybe take 5 minutes, journal your attempt, how you felt about the examination, and that's it. No over-analysis, nothing to be thinking about what happened, what will happen, and so on and so forth. And lastly, talk to someone. Talk to your parents, talk to your friend, talk to someone whom you trust about how you feel at that point of time. It will help you in venting out if you have any anxiety, any stress, any kind of frustration related to your attempt and examination. But between examination, do not think that I did not do well in the last examination. Do not think that I did not do well in last paper. Do not think what will happen in the next paper. I'm not prepared for optional. Keep these ideas at bay. This brings me to a point of what Rahul Dravid would always say, that focus on every ball, the next ball as if it is a new ball. You may have hit a boundary on the last ball, but you have to focus on what is coming at you, the next ball. Same thing, maintain that focus of just clearly obsessing over the next question and not what happened in the last paper or last attempt or what happened in the last question. Do not do that. Just focus every question, one question by question. I just want to wrap up by talking about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. People would often ask him that, how did you survive for those 27 years? People would often ask you as well when you would qualify the examination, how did you maintain your energy and momentum over 9 days or over 9 papers over a week when you were writing the examination? The answer would be small victories. Focus on routine small victories while you are giving the exam as well. Nelson Mandela, when he was in the jail, he would not think about how I'll spend 20 years of my life in jail or 30 years of my life in jail. Every day he would try to achieve something. Every day he would try to either read a book or learn the Afrikaans language, the language of his oppressors, so that when someday ultimately he would get to negotiate with them, he would be able to negotiate well with them. Or possibly just doing the task given to him on that particular day with dignity. That's what you have to do. Remember, as you're walking to the examination, you've already done the hard work. Mains examination is not about perfection. No one's attempt in mains is perfect. It's all about steady focus over the 9 papers. Trust your preparation, manage your energy, take it one paper at a time. You don't need to be fearless. You will never be fearless. You have to just walk in with enough focus. That's enough. All the very best. Go give your best attempt. One question, one paper at a time. And I'm very sure each one of you would do well in the mains examination. Thank you so much. If you have any kind of queries, any kind of challenges that you are facing, you have any anxiety, you want to talk to me, you're writing the mains examination this year, you want to talk to me while you are giving the examination, you write a mail to me. I promise you that I will call you up. You share your number on the mail, I will call you up and I'll be there for you. All the best.